right. It used to be that your business card was the flashiest way to show people who you are. Okay. Today, having the word author besides your name increases your brand 10 times more. 10 times more. So today we're talking with an author, a realtor, and serial entrepreneur, and hear how he has opened doors because of his 6 books, not just one, but because of his 6 books. So I wanted to introduce Frantz Derenoncourt, very great friend of mine, raised in Brooklyn, New York. And he's a first generation Haitian American who came from humble beginnings. With a long family lineage of entrepreneurs, Frantz was destined to be exactly where he is today as an entrepreneur. After leaving Virginia State University in 1998, he moved to the Maryland area and soon after fell in love with the real estate industry. During the real estate crash of 2007, Frantz found success in network marketing. In that industry, he grew a team of over 3,000 distributors nationwide. I was one of them back in the day. During the pandemic, fast forward now, during the pandemic, when people were looking for alternative cooking and dining options, he and his mom started a Caribbean catering company right here in the Largo, Maryland area. So now today, in 2015, he started his own publishing company called Thoroughbred Books. And these books the birth of it started as the illustration of the Haitian Revolution. So I wanted to introduce Frantz Derenoncourt. Not only is he an author, a real estate agent, serial entrepreneur, a great friend of mine, I wanted him to talk today about how to write and publish your first book. Sir, are you ready?
I am ready. Thank you.
I know that there's way more. To this. So I wanted to make sure that you took baby steps, because we've got some people like myself, yourself, and you've got some people like Andrew who's already written a book. But I want this conversation really to be open to those who are thinking about what does it look like to write a book. So if we could just rewind a little back, did I miss anything about you, sir?
No, I think you got it pretty down. I mean, I'm 46 years old, so it's like trying to put 46 years in a quick 1-minute bio. So
yeah, that may take some time. So we have some real estate agents and some entrepreneurs on the line here. So my biggest question before you start going into the steps is, in 2015, when you started the publishing company, what was going through your brain as far as why are you doing this?
Well, thank you for that introduction and reading my bio. I really appreciate that. And I really appreciate you for inviting me out onto your platform. This is great. I'm usually on the other end watching, so it's great to be a part of it. As far as how I kind of like got started in it back in 2015, it stemmed from me wanting to tell a story or share information with others, right? And I felt that with a book, I could share that information more widespread, right? Because I was always running my mouth. Like once I found out the information that I wanted to share, I was always like trying to tell people about it or post on social media about it. And I did grow a following, and I was able to reach a few people and tell them my story, or the story that I wanted to tell, which is the story of the history of Haiti. But I want to reach a more widespread crowd and distributorship. So I felt that having a book would probably be one of the easiest ways to do that. And during my research, when I looked for similar books on the topic and the format that I wanted to do the book in, I didn't see any.
Right.
So that there was nothing like that what I was offering on the market. So that was another, being an entrepreneur, that was another thing that I saw an opportunity in, was that there was a gap in the market that I wanted to fill. So not that I'm a historian, but it was a story that I felt was important, and I felt more people wanted to know about it. So I was like, okay, well, why not put it in a book form and, sell it?
Got it.
And I was lucky enough that people bought it. And that led me down the path to, publishing a lot more books.
Got it. So rewind back a little bit more. Thank you for sharing that. When you rewind back, when real estate for you started, what year?
I started real estate in 2000.
2000.
Yes,
Okay.
that's like, wow, 23 years ago.
Yeah.
Jeez.
We started around the same time.
Yeah.
1990. I was 2002.
Yep.
Same year. All right. So
Yep.
when you started, what did your business look like at that time? Were you thinking about books at that time?
Absolutely not.
No.
No. I mean, I was young, I was just wanting to make money, right? And I was looking for different opportunities.
Mhm.
And me, like, I was never really I don't know if I had ADHD or something like that, but I could never really kind of sit on a 9 to 5 job and stay focused. Like, I'll be at the job, but my mind will always be somewhere else.
Yeah.
And it was easy to see that I wasn't focused on my work, right? Like my managers and my bosses and stuff, because my mind was elsewhere. My passion was elsewhere. My interest was elsewhere. So real estate was one of the great mediums for me because I was able to make some decent money,
Mhm.
but I could control my schedule.
Definitely.
Right. I didn't have to sit in the office in a cubicle or whatever for 8 hours out of a day and, try to do work from there. I could close a few deals and then it gave me the flexibility that I needed in order to take on other ventures that I wanted to take.
Yes, I think that's a lot of us on the line here.
Yes.
A lot of us are guilty of that. That's why we chose entrepreneurship to make sure that we can make a difference on our own schedule.
Yes.
So how did network marketing come up next for you?
Well, network marketing came into play like around in 2007. So you mentioned in my bio, there was a big real estate downturn in this area. We call it the bubble burst, right?
Well, that thing.
So I mean, 2000 all the way up to 2007, the market was doing very well, and then all of a sudden it crashed. So a lot of people left the real estate industry and went back to the 9 to 5. But at that time, I was unemployable, to say the word. Right. So we were looking, my brother Tupac and I were looking at different opportunities where we could make additional income, diversify our income. And he found a network marketing opportunity. And we joined in September 2007. And we had a great run. I had a great run from 2007 to 2014. I reached one of the leadership positions in the business. I grew a great team.
Yes.
And we were making some decent money. And it was also great because there was a lot of personal development that was part of network marketing that I took advantage of. It gave me a lot of training on running my own business, on discipline, and different other success attributes that you need to be successful. So I was happy, for that opportunity of being in network marketing, even though I'm not in that industry right now.
Yeah.
But I took a lot out of that, and that's what's helping me now in my career.
Yeah, and I think all of that is leading up to where you are. Like network marketing for me was the best part of my life. And it was simply because of the discipline of the personal development that molded me to be the woman who I am today to help with communication.
Absolutely.
So a lot of people look at network marketing and thinking, no, I hate it. Well, how it's presented to you makes a huge difference. But if you get involved with it and understand, network marketing companies mold you first so that you are a better individual. Then you can help market that whatever product or service it is. So everything had to happen in the right time for you to get to where you are now. So you're on book number 6.
I just published my 6th book. Yes.
That's amazing. That's huge.
Thank you. I'm excited.
Let's get down to number 1. Like, how did number 1 start for you? So for those that are out there that wanted to at least start with the idea, and how do I birth the idea? How do I get it from here to the paper? We need steps. So help us get through how to get this book out.
Yeah. Well, for me, it was all about, I was inspired, right? That's where it worked, because I'm not a writer. I'm not an author. Well, I am an author now, but at that point in my life, I wasn't an author, and I had no desire to write, publish books, and stuff like that. But events happened where I became inspired to tell a story, right? And that story was about Haiti. Like you mentioned in my bio, I'm a Haitian American, first generation Haitian American. Both my parents were born and raised in Haiti, and they moved up here for opportunities. And I was born in Brooklyn, New York. And growing up Haitian, it was very challenging. But that's mostly because I didn't really know what it meant to be Haitian. And I didn't really know what it meant to be Haitian until much later in my life. Once I started researching and seeing the significance of Haitian history, I was like, wow, Haiti was the first independent Black nation in the Americas, right? It was an enslaved colony, enslaved Africans, and they revolted against the French, and they beat them in a war in 1804 and abolished slavery. And that was the first time that ever happened, during colonial times. So Haiti was the first. So I didn't know about that when I was a kid, right? And I thought that was powerful information. And I thought that information was something that I could have used as a youth. So once I learned that information, I started telling everybody about it. And people also didn't know about it. And they were amazed about the information that I was sharing. So I was like, you know what? Let me put this in a more convenient form that I could share the information. So for me, it started by being inspired. And I think that's kind of like the starting point with a lot of different projects that come into play. Like you see something, you want to change something, you become inspired, you're passionate about a subject, you're passionate about a story, and you want to tell it. And that's pretty much what happened with me. So, but how the book came to play was I wrote the stories down, and I needed a publisher. I didn't know what it meant to publish a book. So I actually did seek out someone. In fact, I think you helped me find the person that actually helped me publish my first book. Right? And I reached out to that person. Yes. So thank you again. I'm sure I thanked you many, many times. So he helped me actually with the steps of actually publishing, which was like getting an ISBN number, having an editor, finding a printer, right? Because I didn't go through the traditional process of getting my book published, like writing the book, having a manuscript, and going to the major publishing houses like Penguin or all those other guys. So I wanted to do sort of like a self-publishing type of a format. So there was somebody that I found, the gentleman that we have in common, and he pretty much took me through that process. And my first book came out like about a year later. So I was like, oh, wow, well, that wasn't that bad, right? That was actually pretty easy. And there were certain things during the process that I didn't really want to deal with. Not that I didn't want to deal with it, but there were certain points in the process that I felt could have went a little bit more smoothly. And I kind of felt like that person was more of like a middleman. Like I could have taken charge of some of the things that he was doing. So when it came around to publishing my second book, I was like, well, I might as well just start my own publishing company and publish my own books.
You know how to do it now. You know all the key players that you needed. Exactly.
Right. So I got the experience from having my first book published. Then I realized that it really wasn't that difficult. I could just do it myself. Right. So why have a middleman? Of course, it took a little bit more time, but at the end of the day, it ended up being way more profitable publishing my own books because I had my own, I was able to develop my own following. I was able to understand the process, so I won't have to question the process all the time. And, I sold thousands of that first book. And then it led me into the second book, and then the third one, where I was able to take complete control of the whole process. And now I publish other authors. I've published 6 books so far, 4 of which I wrote, and 2 with other authors.
Got it. You guys hear the steps, right? So it took the mentor to guide him to get that first book done, which was necessary.
Yes.
My two books down there, the same publishing company did my first one as well. And the very first, just the same thing for Unleash Your Irresistibility. I didn't know what I was doing. So I'm just thinking, let me put words together. And it took a while to put everything together. Mine was more of a story, of my personal story. Yours is more of an illustrated book. So it's a little bit different, but it's still the same concept of getting the cover together to
Right.
get the editing, the inside, everything together. The ISBN number is that identification number that every book has. And once you know, hey, I can go to Bowker and buy these myself, it doesn't cost you anything to really just get that kind of information.
Yeah, it's a learning curve. It's like anything else. But once you learn it, you realize that, hey, this is not so hard.
Then you got
Right? And it really doesn't take that much more time where you have to pay someone else thousands and thousands of dollars to help you through that process.
But
Once
that
you go through
first
that
time-
process the first time, that's pretty much what you need to really understand how to move forward in the publishing game.
So you have some slides you want to show us?
Yeah, I put together, just so that I'm not jumping all over the place, right? I put together a very short slideshow about the process of publishing, or my process, I should say, and how, what the first steps for anyone who's aspiring to be an author may want to consider taking, right? So let me get this together. Can you see my screen?
Mm-hmm.
All right, great. So let me put this out the way so I can see this clearly. All right, fantastic. Okay, so obviously this is the flyer for today's event. All right, so just very quick, I know Lorie already went through my bio, but this is just something, a quick something, so you have a little bit about my background. Lorie already said I published my first book in 2015. To this date, I have 6 books published, all of them on the same topic, which is Haiti. I tend to stick with the things that I know. I don't want to get outside of my comfort zone, right? Once you start getting outside of your comfort zone, then you kind of like start losing a little bit of credibility, in my opinion. I know there are other people who are all over the place, but if you have a niche, I usually like to stick with my niche, because that way you can kind of grow your customer base a lot easier. So far to date, I've had over 20,000 copies sold. That includes directly to customer, through distributors, through wholesale, through Amazon, and all of the different outlets. And I've had multiple book tours, nationwide book tours. In fact, I'm on one right now for my latest book. So now, why write a book? We kind of went through this also, so I'm going to go through this very quickly. The reason why I wrote a book was because I was inspired to tell a story. It was something that I really felt passionate about. It was something that I felt that not enough people know about, and I wanted to share that information. I wanted to share the knowledge that I wanted other people to hear, right? So usually it's like a burning desire inside, and if you can't get it out, then you're kind of restless, right? So as I had this information and I knew I wanted to share it, I didn't really know how, but it just my passion led me to publishing, if that makes sense. Because I was passionate about the subject, I wanted to share the knowledge. And also what I realized was when I was doing my research, I realized that there were no other books quite like mine that was in the marketplace. Like I said, I do illustrated books about the Haitian Revolution. That's family friendly. So kids from 2nd grade and up can read my books. So when I went to the library to do research and see if there were any similar books to the one that I was thinking of creating, I saw plenty of books on George Washington, Abraham Lincoln, the founding fathers of the United States, but I didn't see anything about the first independent Black nation in history in the Western Hemisphere, which was Haiti. I was looking up and down different bookstores. I didn't see anything. So I thought it was an opportunity not only to create something that was going to fill a gap in the market, marketplace. But I realized that something like that is something that people may be interested in purchasing. So definitely, I publish books to sell books, right? I know there are people who publish books to say that I'm an author, but really, if you're me, my goal to publish is to publish books, to tell the stories, but it's also to sell books. Now, where to start? And of course, this is not universal laws of publishing. This is just my story and how I started, and my tips to someone who may be interested in starting to become an author or writing a book or becoming a publisher. The first place to start when you want to write your first book is just to start writing. Like, just start jotting down things on paper or on your Microsoft Word or whatever have you. Just start writing. I'm pretty sure you have what your passion is, what your interest is, what you want to write about. Just open up, get a blank sheet of paper, and just start writing. Let the fingers go. Right? That's the best way to get started. Like, because I know if you're like me, I had my book in my head before I had it down on paper, but transferring it from your head to paper is the hard part. And starting is the hard part. But what I found is whenever I'm maybe not as inspired as I felt or I felt that I should be, sometimes when I just open up and I just start writing and flowing, then it gets the juices flowing. And the next thing you know, I'm writing for hours. Also, research your topic. Like, my topic was Haiti. So I did a lot of research on Haiti. I went to bookstores, libraries. I researched on Google. I went to Haiti, right, and did research. And I spoke to different professors and educators. So I was just trying to get and I did all of this prior to me even knowing that I was going to write a book, only because I was so passionate about the project. I wanted to know more. It was a personal thing for me, for my own knowledge. So researching is definitely key. And writing, when you start writing, it's going to lead you to research, because once you start free flow writing, then you're going to realize that there are going to be some gaps in your story that you want to fill in. And the best way to fill that in is through research. One thing that was invaluable to me in my publishing process is Fiverr and Upwork. Fiverr, if you're not familiar with Fiverr, it's sort of like a marketplace where you have freelance artists or graphic designers and translators and all different types of people that do all different types of services. And you could go in there and get a logo done. You could get a book cover done. You could get all different types of things done, even marketing. Like, I use Fiverr a lot for marketing, like book trailers and things like that. And Upwork, that's where I find my graphic artists. So if I'm doing illustrations, I find an illustrator on Upwork. So those are two very valuable apps that I've used, and it's helped me tremendously in my publishing process. Also, visit a lot of libraries and bookstores. If you're looking to write a book, let's just say you're an accountant and you want to write a book on accounting. Go to the bookstore, go to the accounting section, and find books on accounting, right? That gives you ideas of how you want your book to look on a bookshelf, right? If you flip through the books, you say, okay, I want to do something like this. I don't want to do it like that. It gives you ideas. It's a process of elimination. What I did, I went to the library. I checked out about 20 children's books, illustrated books, and I just started flipping through all of them, and I made notes. Like, you know what? I want my font to look like this. I want my illustrations to look like that. I want my book cover to look like this. So I took those pieces of all different types of other books and I created my own style, if that makes sense.
Can I listen real quick on one of your notes?
I'm sorry?
I mentioned something on one of your points.
Yes.
One of the things that I found that was very valuable, instead of typing everything, because sometimes that may be overwhelming for some of us, was use your recorder, use your phone and just record your voice, your notes, and someone on Fiverr or Upwork can convert that audio to text, and that can help also with the process. So that part doesn't seem so overwhelming for you.
Absolutely. And that's actually really good, like when you're in your car, right? So if you're in your car and you're thinking of ideas, you could use your voice recorder and record voice notes and then revisit it. Because if you're like me, I could get a great idea and then forget it in 2 seconds, right? So it's always good to have something to write with, or a voice recorder where you could record those ideas. And then also, I know I have this in where to start, but it's finish your first draft. Like, just write until you get to the end. The important thing is to finish. As a writer and as an author, what you're going to realize is you're going to have many, many drafts, right? So, but the first draft is the most important. Usually when I'm done writing a first draft of a book, I put it away and then I start the publishing process, which could take several months, which means like ISBN numbers, illustrations, this and the other. I always start with the story. I finish writing the story before I go into anything else. I don't go into ISBN. I don't go into illustrations. I don't go into Amazon or anything like that. I finish the story. I finish the book. I finish writing it, at least the first draft, because I'm getting ahead of myself, right? And then you could get so overwhelmed with the publishing process and your book is not even finished yet, right? So the key is to finish the book, have an end of your book, and then you can move on to the publishing part. Now, there are different publishing options. I told Lorie and I had a very similar beginnings where we had somebody, we wrote the book, but we didn't understand the publishing process. So we found somebody who had experience with publishing that helped us. And that person charged us a fee to publish our books. So they were still self-published books, but we didn't understand how to do it. So someone came in and became a middleman for us to help get that book published. So that's definitely one option you can go with. That's self-published with assistance. And then also there's self-published period, where you could just go on, KDP stands for Kindle Direct Publishing. It's an arm of Amazon. So if you go to Kindle Direct Publishing, everything on there is set up for you to publish your first book. You could write your whole manuscript on there, or you could upload a manuscript onto KDP, and then it prompts you for information. You put all the information in there. You get a graphic for your cover. And then boom, you have a book. And KDP does print on demand. So you could put everything up on KDP. And then when a customer wants to purchase a book, Amazon would print the book and ship it to your customer, and you get paid a royalty. So with a lot of my older titles, I have on KDP, right? Because I don't want to have to print the book personally myself. So KDP is great. Ingram Spark is great because once you upload your book onto Ingram Spark, it's automatically available at the bookstores websites like Barnes and Nobles, Borders Books, if they're still around, Books A Million and all that stuff. So KDP and Ingram Spark are great resources as well for when you're publishing. Self-published with assistance, that's what I just said that Lorie and I did. Or you can be one of the people who's like, you know what? I feel like my story is great and I don't want to put any of my own money into it. I'm going to go find a publisher to publish my book, right? So they can invest their money in my book and I get paid a royalty. You can go that route as well. There are they got the big publishers, there are independent publishing companies, and there are small print publishing companies. It's just a matter of you pitching your idea, you pitching your story, you pitching your book, and somebody investing in you. You could have a lot of meetings with that because it's not a very high success rate, but there are plenty of people who've gotten their books published. And Lorie mentioned the ISBN number. You definitely want to have the ISBN. You go to Bowker, and it's sort of like a social security number for your book, where each published book has an individual ISBN number. So you want to make sure you go to that website, bowker.com. I think it's BOWKER, and you could get a package of 10 ISBNs if you're planning on purchasing multiple books, or you could just get one. I forget what the prices are. I think it's like about $200 for one, and maybe like $350 for 10, something like that. Okay, now marketing your book. So create an author page on social media. I feel like this step is very important. And because although you do want to market on your personal social media sites, you also want to create one just for your book or just for your publishing company, only because you don't want to inundate your current followers, your personal friends and family with your marketing, right? There's nothing wrong with that every once in a while, but every once in a while, you have some family members or friends that start to tune you out, right? It's like, oh, Ron's selling his book again, oh, blah, 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 you know. So what I did, and I actually did this prior to publishing my first book, I knew I was coming out with a book. So I created a social media page on Instagram and Facebook that just started sharing information on what my book was going to be about, right? And what I did was I created a following. I created a community of people who are interested in that topic, right? So it's always good to get that page done before your book comes out. And then once a book comes out, have a book release party, do book fairs, be part of vending opportunities, all these things to help get the word out about your book. Most importantly is schedule opportunities for public speaking. What a book does, it validates you as an expert in that subject, right? It could be a self-published book, it's fine. You could have put it together and get 100 copies of the book. And then next time you go to an event where you're teaching a topic or you're the featured speaker, you're speaking on the topic. And then also at the end, you can say, I'm an author, I wrote a book on this very topic. I'm set up at the table in the back, and then people will come at the back and they'll purchase your book because you validated yourself as a speaker. And then now that customer can leave with some information that you shared with them. So, or if you have clients already, you can give those books away, right? You can say, hey, this is a book, blah, blah, blah. And then it's like, oh, wow, this person, you know, is good at what they do. They have a book, they're an author. So they must know what they're doing. So that's worked out for me a lot as well. And then after that, I mean, that's pretty much the simple process that I put together. And I did it repeatedly. Up to the point where I'm at book number 6 now. And to be honest, I'm looking at my board right here. I have probably about 6 or 7 more books to come in the coming years. So it's not that daunting of a process. There are some steps that you have to take. It's a trial and error type of industry. But if you're passionate enough and you have enough inspiration, then it could be something that could be very lucrative for you and something that will definitely validate you as an expert in your field.
Awesome. I love it. Sweet and right to the point. I wanted to thank you very much for sharing that. Does anyone have any questions about the process? How long did it take you to do your first book?
Wow, they always say the first book is the longest book because, well, I was about like 39 years old. So they say that first book take you 39 years, right? But really, once I started the process, the first book probably took like about a year. And actually has held true for all the books because each book since then has been about a year. Once I sit down to start writing it to the point where it's released, it takes about, I would say 12 to 14 months.
12 to 14 months. And yours are different because your story is being told through education. But at the same time, someone that could write a book, it could take them years just to even get the idea out. And so I want to make sure that I charge this conversation to someone who's got that idea. Look at the simple steps that he had. Definitely look at the replay again, but look at the simple steps that it took. When I wrote my very first book, I was going through depression. So a lot of the things delayed me because I am in imposter mode thinking I shouldn't write that. I shouldn't put that one. And the publisher at the time was thinking, that's the chapter that's going to make a difference. That's the chapter that they all need to hear about. And as soon as I started getting that out, it took me about 9 months. It was about 9 months for me to get everything finally out. So, wherever you are at this point, one thing that I found great was stay committed to that date of what you said. You said you wanted to get that story out. Someone's waiting to hear that story. Someone is waiting to hear that story. I promise you they are. And they need to hear it from you. And so don't sit on those words. Don't think that your first book has to have everything spelled perfectly. Don't, because there will be errors. People are human. Even going through the editing process, my editor botched up some words and it was just okay. Like, okay, the second book probably has a little bit of errors in there. Okay, so I'm 2 books in, and I just don't know that there was anything that was that difficult about it. Make sure that you're following the plans. Now, I do have a young lady that can help with a process because Frantz is overwhelmed with a lot of the publishing at this point. So for those that need to get that 1, 2, 3 step, how do I get this done? I need my handheld. I need to know where do I go to get everything done. I've got you covered. So I want to make sure in the replay, when you get it tomorrow, when you get the replay tomorrow, you will have the young lady who helped me with my second book. Because the second one it was all on me. I self-published the second one, and I had to make sure that everybody was in place. And this book consultant, Melanie Bonita, many of you have probably heard of her, but she can help you get your book as a #1 Amazon seller as well. So she'll show you how to get through the steps, everything that Frantz shared with you, and get it out there and get it marketed. Okay.
Yeah. You touched on like errors in the book.
Mm-hmm.
Like part of the process, I kind of zipped through it during the presentation because I didn't want to stay too long on the presentation. I said it takes like a few months to just get I'll say up to 6 months to get the story written out.
Mm-hmm.
And then I put that away and then I concentrate on other publishing things. But when I revisit that story, the reason I put it away early is so that I could kind of clear my mind from it. Because a lot of reasons why people there are a lot of people who started to write books but never finished. They never got to the finish line to where their book was published, is because they nitpick at the book too much.
Yeah.
Right. Even me, I'm very bad at that. Like the reason I kind of like just go the first draft, I just get it out of my system and then I put it away. Because if I keep going back to it, I will just keep changing things forever. Yeah. Right. So I get it out, I put it to the side, and I concentrate on something else for multiple months, the publishing process. Mm-hmm. And then once I'm done with maybe the illustrations or when I'm done doing my other things to help the book get into the world, I revisit the first draft. And then that first draft turns into a second draft, and then turns into a third and a fourth and a fifth draft, right? Because you could really nitpick the book for years and years and years. Right. So what I had to realize, I did that with my first book. Well, not years and years, but every time you go back, there was something that you want to change.
Obviously.
What you had to realize is the book has to be done at a certain point, mm-hmm. right? Because even right now, I have 6 published books. I know I could go back to each book and change something, right? So, which is one of the reasons why I don't like to read my books again. Because I'm like, oh, why did I put that in there? I could, like, you're searching for perfection, which is fine, but it doesn't exist, mm-hmm. right? So you're just going to keep searching and searching and searching and waiting when the book would have been ready to be out in the world months and months ago. Yeah. Right. So you always have to make sure that, you know what, this book is ready. You know, you read it once, you read it twice, you do some changes, you do a couple of edits, you send it to the editor sends it back. And it's like, once you get it back from the editor,
that's it.
Really, that should be it. Right. Put it back. Because what that's going to do, it's going to slow you down from the second book. Yeah. Right. And the third book and the fourth book. Like once you're done with that, then you're ready to move on to the next one. Right. So don't be held up so long on that first story that it's keeping you behind from telling other stories. Yeah. Right? Because if you have one story, you have many others that need to be told.
As a creator, what I had to do was I had to get outside of my house. Does anybody ever feel like that? Like I can't write, you get blocks, you get writer's block. And I would have to rent. I would not rent, I would either get Airbnbs or I would go to a hotel for the weekend just so I could write somewhere else. My environment had to be different. So if that's something that, just to give you guys some inspiring things to do that makes sense to do while you're getting.
Mine was Panera, I think. I've written a lot of my books in Panera.
Wherever you have to go, get it done, get it out there.
Or also, like, you have different times. Well, for me, I should say, there are times when I'm inspired. And usually that time, like when it was probably my first 3 books, it was between 3 a.m. and 4 a.m.
My goodness.
Like, I would wake up in the middle of the night and I would just go straight to my computer and I would just start writing for like an hour straight.
Yeah.
And then I'll go back to see, wake up, and then I'll read. I was like, wow, I did all that. Also, good inspiration is like a wave, right? And that's when some of your best work comes out. So like, and you have to ride that wave when it comes, because sometimes the wave doesn't come for a while, right? But when the wave, your inspiration wave comes, then you have to ride it. And that wave could last. It could last a day. It could last a week. It could last a month. It could last multiple months, right? With me, when I get inspired, my inspiration lasts possibly like about 3-4 months when it's for writing. And I just focus on the story, and I focus on research, and I focus on putting everything together as far as the story is concerned. And then once that inspiration kind of leaves, or when I'm done writing, then I can focus on the publishing process and putting together the book tours and, dealing with the wholesalers and the book distributors and things like that. But that inspiration is very, very important. And you want to be able to take advantage of that inspiration while you have it, because that's when some of the best work comes out of you.
Yeah. How many of you, I want to just find out a poll of the people that are on the Zoom or on Instagram. How many of you already have pages written? Like, just put a 1 in the chat box. If you already have some pages written, it's been a notebook tucked somewhere or in a box somewhere, you probably already have a book somewhere. So I hope, Ari, this is your moment to connect and make sure, Anthony, that this is your time to get it out. Like I said, I'll give you the contact. The contact for me, she's military. She's military, so you already know she's not going to let you mess this up. And if you've got a timeline, it's a matter of when are you going to get it done? Like when I'm helping a homeowner or soon to be homeowner, and they're saying, I'm going to purchase, I'm ready to be a homeowner. I don't let them get away with, I'm just going to buy a house. I'm asking, when is your date? When are you going to buy? Because I remember the publisher did that for me. And for the fact that he gave me a deadline date, it held me accountable that, wow, no one's ever asked me that before. I have to really give you a date. Okay, well, and that's the date we work towards. So whatever date that you have in your brain, that's the date that book needs to be out.
Right. I think the key word there is motivation, right? Like, and accountability also. Right. So, and I like the example with the homeowners, because, I'm in real estate too, obviously. So really, you can't drag, like, if a person is not ready to purchase a house, you can't make them be ready. They have to be ready on their own. Yeah. Right. So they have to be motivated, and that makes the process, because I've been in the business 23 years, 20 plus years, right? So if someone is not ready to buy a house and they're dragging their feet and stuff like that, then who are you? Like, look, come to me when you're ready, right? Because the process is going to be it could be a grueling process. It could be a frustrating process. You're going to go through challenges. You're going to not get the house that you want. Like things you thought was going to be easy is going to be very difficult. Yeah. So you have to have a certain amount of motivation and inspiration in order to get through those tough parts, those tough parts of purchasing a home. Same thing with publishing, and same thing with writing.
Put a date on it.
Yep, right. You're gonna have writer's block.
Margaret has 10 chapters. Margaret,
10 chapters. That's great.
What is your date? So I guess the last thing to wrap things up for my friends here is, what is your date? What is your date of when you are going to deliver your book? That's the date, because I know it's going to be hard, but I know exactly who it is in here that said something. And I know there's plenty of you who still didn't answer. But Margaret, what is your date? When is your book coming out? Delaney, when is your book going to come out? Anthony, when is your date? When is your date that your book is done, complete, ready?
Yes, absolutely.
Ari, when is your date? I want to know. K. Marie, when is your date? No. I said a date. I said a date. February 28th, 2020 what? Be
That's
specific.
right around the corner.
Gotta be specific. Thank you very much. Now you've got that date. Now you've told the universe already, this is what we're looking for. And you know what's happening now? Now the right people, Ari, what's your date? Your exact date. Now the universe is bringing all the right people to you. And now you can finish the book, because now you're just like, I don't know how to do this. I don't have all the right people, but now you're more specific. So when January comes along, which is now, Anthony, you're going to now all of a sudden have some resourceful people that's going to come into your space to help you finish your project. Okay, good. Thank you for dropping those dates.
Yeah, get that. It's very important to get that first draft done. All right, finish the story.
That's
From
it.
the beginning to the end. Just
Amen.
write all the way till you get to the end. Don't focus on anything else.
Okay.
Right? Don't focus on the publishing process. Don't focus on who's gonna print the book, what paper the book is gonna, or paper is gonna be on, what font is gonna be on. You don't need to worry about any of that stuff, because none of that stuff matters unless you have a book finished anyway.
Finish the word.
So first order of business, complete the book. Then you can go and think about the other steps of the process.
So you all know, I know we got to let you go. It's 8 o'clock. But one thing I want to make sure is that Delaney, Anthony, Ari, I see all of you in here, K. Marie, when this replay comes out, you should be getting in touch with Melanie Benita immediately, because this is your sign right here to at least get the person that's going to hold your hand to make sure that this book is getting completed. I didn't do the book, but the first book, I had someone help me. The second book, Melanie helped me because she was my consultant, but I knew all the key players that I needed. So she guided me throughout the process, and she can help you do the same thing. So whatever it is, if you're going to give the book away for free and because you just wanted to get your message out, that's up to you. If you are a real estate agent or a professional and you're like, look, this is a compliment to my business, I want to give it away as a closing gift, or I want to give it away just to, spread the message, that's fine too. But I also, like Frantz, this is a business for him. He is actually marketing the books out here for sale. So they're going out there for sale. So you have to also determine, are you doing this for fun? Is it a hobby? Or is it really going to be something where you are making a profit off of serving these to the public? And one last thing before you go, I know you've got like 60 seconds. How is the marketing for you? Like what avenues do you use for marketing most to get most attraction to your books?
Social media is definitely you need to have a social media presence.
Say that again.
Social media presence, absolutely. That's number one, right? Because everyone's already on there, right?
Yeah.
Everyone is already on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. That's where your customers are.
Right.
So you might as well provide content for your customers, right? Because they're looking for you. So that's number one. But also number two, over the years, as I've sold my book, I usually sell my book through my website, and my website captures email information, and I was able to get a mailing list together. So after 6 books and publishing for over 6 years, I have a very substantial mailing list. Okay. So whenever I have a new release, I could shoot out to 2,000 plus people who signed up on my mailing list that I have a new release coming out, blah, blah, blah. So social media is great, but also make sure that you have a direct line to your customer as well, because a lot of people are on social media, but not everybody is always on social media. So you definitely want to have a direct line to your customer base as well. So whenever you're out on events or promotional tours or speaking engagements, make sure you have an up sheet, right? So that you could capture your customer's name, their email, phone number. Really, most important is email. So that way you can shoot information directly to them. Because, unless you're boosting posts and stuff like that on social media, then your message is probably not going to get to everybody.
Right.
Social media. I just started my TikTok page and I've been doing TikToks and stuff. It's actually pretty fun. I'm starting to get into it now. I'm starting to understand the app and the process and stuff. So
It has its moments.
It has its moments, but definitely creating content is a challenge for a lot of people. But that's something that's definitely necessary if you want to promote your brand and if you want to sell your products.
Yeah, I have some coaching clients on the line right now, so please preach to them. Social media is here to stay.
Yes, absolutely. You definitely have to have a social media presence if you're selling anything. But also, I like to separate for each one of my businesses. I have a catering business, a real estate business, the publishing business, entertainment business. I have a social media account for each one of those businesses.
Okay.
It's almost like having a bank account for each business, right? Because you don't want to commingle too much. Sometimes you do, because some people who sell food and like, oh, you're a publisher too? You got books? Okay, yeah, cool. But it's always best to kind of keep all of those different.
Keep the conversation.
Or at least for me, it is. It makes life easier.
We got a question from Marlena.
Hi, good night, everyone. Thank you so much for the information. I really appreciate it a lot. My question really quick, I just wanted to know how much did you all both invest in your books to try to I guess, how did you finance it is basically what I'm asking.
Good question.
Sure.
And was it a lot? Was it expensive?
It could be. The books that I publish are hardcover illustrated books, full color, right? Like in fact, I'll give you an example. This was my first book.
Okay.
Right. So
that's nice.
Quality.
Also, it's illustrations.
Yeah.
Full color, full bleed illustrations. So this book can be very expensive to print. And it depends on how many books you're printing.
Right.
But as far as the whole publishing process, it took me, well, now I'm a little bit later on. So it took me about $10,000.
Okay.
But that's because I print a large volume of books, right?
Okay.
Because I go on book tours and I don't like to run out. So I like to have plenty of inventory. And also, the more books you purchase, the less expensive each book would be. So for instance, if I were to buy, let's say I wanted 100 of those books, it might cost me about $9 per book. But if I get 1,000 of those books, it'll cost me $4 a book.
Right.
And that really makes a difference in your bottom line. So it'll be a bigger investment initially, but at the end of the day, making more money because you got the books at a cheaper rate. And I'm able to sell each of those books between $20 and $25.
So your book.
So each dollar counts.
Okay.
How much it costs varies because there's a lot of people that are involved to put everything together. I think mine was more of a paperback, and that first project was probably about $7,000. That was because someone was leading me down the path, and I got a substantial amount of books included. So I think mine was about $7,000. This was back in 2016. When I did my own book, the second one where I did the collaboration with the 18 women, their different stories, that one was like half the price because I cut out the consultant as much and I didn't have to pay as much per book. Each of the ladies paid for their own books. So I would say for those, I use Ingram Sparks for my printing. And those books, I think now they're almost anywhere between $3 and $5 per book for them to print it.
And also now, it can only really, if you want to publish a book, it could really only take a couple of hundred dollars if you publish through like Kindle Direct Publishing, KDP, because you can upload everything into their software and they are print on demand. So you don't have to hold any inventory.
Yeah.
Like, for instance, I have 4 books on KDP. All I had to do, and when they come out on KDP, they're soft cover, they're paperback. They don't print hardcovers. So I uploaded all the illustrations, the book cover, the text, and everything into KDP. So in order to get that together was probably, a couple of $100, because I already had the illustrations done already. And I uploaded the information into KDP, and now they are print on demand. So when a customer finds my book on Amazon and purchases it, I don't have to ship it to them. I don't have to hold inventory. Amazon takes care of all of that. They do take a fee, but they're taking away like all of the things that you have to do. They're making life very easy on you.
That way you don't have to have a
Just
lot
get
of
paid
books.
royalty.
You don't have to have a lot of books in your house.
Yeah, and you don't have to pay for those books in your house. So, they just, just print on demand. So you don't have to pay for any inventory and any of that stuff. So KDP is something that I recommend as
I
well.
would say budget at least $2,000 total to
Yes.
at least get started. And if you speak to Melanie and she gives you what her consultant fee is, you all can work out how much participation she's going to help. She can help a little and she can help a lot. So get in touch with her this week so that you all can talk one-on-one about how much this is going to be invested wise.
All right, I can take one more question, then I got a scoop.
Yes. That was Mark. Anybody else have any questions about
This is
marketing?
Margaret Pettis.
Yes, she already.
Yes, I do have a question too. So I like your book, you covered everything. And it's hardcover. So I ordered a book from Amazon called The Slight Edge, and I ordered a hardcover. But when it came, it was a hardcover, but it had a paper cover over it. So if I took the paper cover off, it was just a plain book.
Yeah.
So
it was a cover jacket.
Yeah, it had a cover. And I'm thinking I'm getting a hardcover without that jacket. Is there a reason that they do books that way?
You know what? I never really was a fan of book jackets. It might be easier or less expensive to print. I've seen like hardcovers like this one, and then it has the same jacket over this. And I always felt like it was to protect the book, right? Like a dust jacket. But yeah, I know what you mean as well, where it just has the paper cover and then the actual hard cover is just like, it's blank. There's nothing on it.
Exactly.
I think it's because I'm sure it's cheaper to print that way, because all you gotta do is print the jackets and put it over the book.
Okay.
But I'm not sure. I don't know. I don't publish that way, so I'm not exactly sure why they do it.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of the book jackets, because I end up taking them off and throwing them away, because it gets in the way when you're trying to read the book, because you're trying to hold on to the book and hold on to the cover over it.
Right. Sometimes I use it as like a bookmark, right?
Oh.
So like,
That's a good idea.
Do your research, because if you are going to do that, then check with KDP, get a sample and see what that quality looks like. You can always get a sample, of course, and then you can look at something like Ingram Sparks. They're a larger printing company, and you can actually just get 1 or 2 books and see, how do you like it? How does it feel before you start ordering it for your people out there?
Okay.
Yeah, and I think Ingram Spark does print hardcover books. KDP doesn't. KDP only does paperback, but Ingram Spark does hardcover.
Cool. Well, thank you. I know you've got to run. Thank you so much. If there's anything else, what are some parting words that you want to share with these new authors?
Finish the book. All right. Everyone out here wants to read your book. They want to read your story because you're relatable to them, right? They want to know more about you. They want to know about your struggles, your victories, and how you come out of all of that to the point where you have your book out and you're telling your story. It's very inspiring. People want to be writing books if they weren't profitable, right? Or if it wasn't fulfilling for them. So definitely finish that book. Just sit down and just write all the way till you get to the end. Don't think about anything else but your story from beginning to end. And once you get to the end, that's the beginning. So you definitely have to finish that book.
Drop your link in your upcoming event. Drop your link in the chat box and let people know your upcoming event on the 19th.
Absolutely. So I'm actually on a book tour right now, right in the middle of it. We're doing 20 cities, mostly on the East Coast. This Thursday, if you're in the Maryland area, I have 3 events happening in the DMV. No, next weekend. I'm sorry. Thursday evening, which is January 19th, I'll be at Overdue Recognition. Well, I have to drop the link. I don't have the link. I'll send it to Lorie, and Lorie will send it with the replay.
Okay.
My book tour schedule, depending on which part of the country you're in, you'll be able to do a free RSVP, and you can come check us out.
Good. So the one on Thursday, the 19th, it'll be in Bowie, Maryland. So yeah, tomorrow when the link goes out, you guys will get everything so that you can have an amazing month to get your book started and to at least meet him in person in Maryland. Okay. So thank you again.
Yes, thank you
for joining us. I know you'll have you got to pick up your son, so I want to make sure you're on time for that. But thank you. I want to thank you guys for joining in. If you guys need to get in touch with me for any real estate or marketing needs, definitely make sure that you get in touch with me so that we can discuss your goals, your marketing goals. If you're looking to write a book, an ebook, or even just get your social media popping, then make sure that you get in touch with me, Lorie Woodruff, so that we can connect and get your brand 10 times better for this year. I'll talk to you guys soon.
Peace.